Everyone, I'm Angie,
I'm Melissa or Mel.
and this is our YouTube channel about cross stitching and pretty much anything kind of thread related in the crafty world, whether that's sewing or quilting. But we take creative liberties on incorporating pretty much anything that strikes our fancy at the time. This first episode is going to be our overall, like, broad introduction of ourselves. So you'll get to learn about us, how we met, but then a whole variety of what we like to stitch. So we're going to go over more of our favorites rather than our most recents for FFOs, finishes, whips, and kind of our next start. That way you have a really good idea of what we like to stitch and who we are so that you can decide if you want to like and subscribe and come and watch the rest of our videos that we make. So probably the best way to start is to figure out how we met and how we got to this point of a split screen floss tube. So I'll let Melissa handle that one because she gets all the credit.
She's in Colorado and I'm in Minnesota. We've never met in person. We've started talking maybe 2 years ago, I think we figured out.
Yeah.
Angie had her own channel called Hoopy Hobby, and I really liked what she did. And she was starting to stitch along. And I think I messaged her on Instagram and said, "Hey, I can't remember. I think we decided it was Jingle All the Way."
Hmm.
And we just have been talking through Instagram, text messaging, stuff like that. We've sent each other little gifts back and forth throughout this time. And that's where we are. And we're very different. She's the
Hmm.
rule follower, and I'm never the. I don't follow the pattern suggestions ever. So
It keeps things very interesting.
and I think we motivate each other in different ways. Like we send our pictures back and forth. And I don't know about you, but for me, I don't have anyone in my realm that stitches. Not family,
Yep.
not friends,
Yeah,
nothing.
not in the immediate circle for sure.
I taught myself by watching YouTube, and that's that. You want to talk about some stuff about you first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go ahead and go first. Like I said, my name's Angie. Melissa mentioned that I do live in Colorado. I'm in northern Colorado. I am married and have a 9-year-old son. I started stitching not too long ago. It was like spring of 2022, and really I was just looking for something that could calm me down and like slow my mind down. I work in a pretty stressful job, so just looking for something that could chill me out and ultimately give me a product for the time I'm putting into something. If I'm dedicating time to something, I like to have something to show for it. So I'd always kind of been interested in cross stitch. Was like always saving stuff on Pinterest or Instagram or Etsy and be like, oh, my future awesome self who has her life together will really like to stitch that someday. But I never really like got serious about it. Um, but I found a fat quarter shop video on like a basic tutorial on how to cross stitch and then found a freebie and gave it a try. And it was just this simple, like lantern, better homes and garden kind of thing. And once I had that finished and had a little bit of confidence, I decided to go visit my local needlework shop, which is Colorado Cross Stitcher. And at the time, they were still in Fort Collins. And of course, now they're just down the road in Loveland. So when I went there and saw all the fancy fabrics and floss and patterns, and I was kind of hooked. So it's been pretty much consistent stitching since then. So about 3 years. And it still very much is like stitch therapy to me. I need it to just, chill out and settle my mind and give my hands something to do. Something kind of, I guess, stitchy fact or stitchy fun fact about me. It's not really fun, but it's funny because I definitely thought at one point I could have a reasonable amount of whips and like have some self-control and be like, "Oh, I can have like 3 or 4 whips and that's the most I'm gonna have." And that's totally not true. Like I went down the rabbit hole and now I don't even know how many whips I have. So it's just kind of one of those things. I try just to ignore what's behind me and just work on what I'm in the mood for in front of me. So, but that's kind of me in a nutshell when it comes to the stitchy world stuff. So, what about you, Melissa?
I live in central Minnesota. If you look at a map, you'll see a big lake, and I'm like 10 minutes south of the big lake, right in the middle. I'm married. I have 3 kids. 2 are adults. So let's see. Livia is what, 22? Cameron will be 19 next week. And then I have Clara, and she is 9. And actually, Angie's son and my daughter, his birthday was her due date ish, and mine's birthday was his due date ish. So they're like kind of the same kid.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
really creepy when you think about it.
We're on a video call and they're there. They steal the show. So um I started stitching in 2021. So in 2022, when the world went crazy, I got off all social media. Like I needed a break. I needed to just shut it off. So in December 2022, I was off. Well, then I was bored. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I got a Cricut and I started doing that, but I work on computers and I don't want to be on a computer all the time. And plus that craft is really messy. Like there's glue and there's stuff and it's messy. So then I started quilting. I taught myself through YouTube, which Jordan Fabrics, and she just passed away, unfortunately. I was very sad when I found that out. But she has excellent tutorials, Fat Quarter Shop, there's some other ones, and I started quilting. And that's great, but you can't take quilting with you everywhere. And I deal with anxieties and stuff, and I need to be busy. I can't, if I'm sitting and not doing something, my mind is just loud, basically. So I'm like, well, what else could I do? And then I think it was Fat Quarter Shop too that I saw a tutorial, and I'm like, oh, what's Flosstube? That's weird. And then there you go. And then that's how I found Angie, was through Flosstubes. And I'm kind of picky about which Flosstubes I like. I don't like all the ones everybody else likes. Um, and so I was like, oh, I could do that. You're just making X's. And I found a huge deal at a thrift store for DMC. It had like hundreds of skeins, which, fun fact, I don't really use DMC anymore. But and I just started. I don't remember. I think one of my first ones, and if I dig through my stuff, is DMC has little free patterns on their website.
Hmm.
I think it was like a strawberry or something. It was really, really small. I'll have to look and see. I'm sure I still have it. And I just was like, oh, I could do this. And then we all do the thing where it's like, oh, that looks easy. And so you buy the pattern on Etsy and you start and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? I have some of those that I decided to just cut out and save the fabric and just on because I'm never gonna finish it. But so that's what kind of what got me into stitching is I needed, if I didn't, because quilting takes a lot of brain power,
Hmm.
more so than cross stitch even, because you have to be really accurate if you want it to look good. And I needed something quieter at night because my sewing machine is in our main living room, and I don't want to have the TV on volume 500. So I can stitch and it's quiet and I don't bother anybody. But my little fun stitching fact is, like I said, I don't follow the rules. Almost everything I've ever done, I've changed almost 100%. I do have some where I followed, but I don't like to have to buy the stuff to make it work. I want to use what I have to make it work. And so, because when you're in threaded clubs and stuff and you get new threads all the time, you know, if you need a blue, you can find a blue. It doesn't have to be that one for me. For it,
Yeah, I think our like my most common response to anything that you're texting me when you're showing me what you're stitching is like, "Oh my gosh, I love your colors," because they're always different from what the pattern says. You're
yeah.
very good at picking the colors.
And the other thing is my brain can't understand, like it doesn't compute if it doesn't look real. So like if it's like a bright orange rabbit in my head, I'm like, well, rabbits are orange. Like it has to be brown or gray. So I have this like realist problem in my brain where like if I can't, and sometimes I go fun, but like there's just things where I just if it doesn't make sense to me, I won't. I need to change.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, that's kind of why we're fun, and also my backs are very messy because I don't care. Like I don't care. It's there. You're not gonna see it. Where I think you're pretty neat and more precise about stuff.
Hmm.
Just like my stuff's not gonna end up in a museum. My kids are probably gonna donate it all when I'm gone anyway. So why spend the time on the back?
Hmm.
I'm just trying to make the front look good.
Right? Yeah, I
So
think I would agree. I tend to try to keep things neat, but there are definitely moments where I'm like, I ain't
yeah,
fixing that. Like,
I
this
fudge.
is
I
gonna be
would
in a
rather.
frame. Nobody's
I'd
gonna look
rather
at it.
fudge than frog. That's
Yep.
my motto. Fudge, not frog.
Hmm.
As I told you, and you'll see, I've had to do that twice. I've had to frog twice now. In the last week, it's been horrible, but
Right?
it ended up better. Do you want to go show some of your favorite? Sorry, my cat. Favorite
I love
finishes?
it.
Yeah, this is. Well, I'll just show her because people like cats. This is Mama Cat. She's I don't know, 17 or 18 years old. We don't really know how old she is because we got her uh we took her in when she had two litters of kittens, so we figured she was probably about two.
Wow.
She's obsessed with me and I love her and I don't mind. So
Well, and she knows you're getting like alone time right now. So she's like, I can get all the attention if I go over towards mom.
mhm. If that's what
Yeah.
it is. She probably is hungry. She probably needs her food dish refilled because
Yeah.
anyways, go ahead.
So yeah, I'll go ahead and do some of my favorite FFOs that I've had. Um, and like I said, this is more of my favorites, not like most recent. Some of these are some of the very first projects that I decided to stitch, and they just kind of took me a while. Because when I was new, I think everyone greatly like underestimates how long something's going to take them. So it's Easter or Easter time, springtime around here. So I actually just recently had pulled out my Easter decor. So I figured I'd show one of those FFOs. This one is uh, let me find it. It's Croquetta a Gogo. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Croquetta a Gogo. It's called the Little Bunny, and the this was actually the first time that I'd stitched on 32 count. So I really liked how like tiny and like dainty it was when it was finished. So every time I see it, I'm just kind of proud because I think honestly this is one of only a few times I've stitched on 32 count. I'm starting to kind of get back to 32 count, but this was all the like called for. I think it was DMC, and it's 32 count raw natural linen. So, and it was just a I don't know Joann's frame or something like that. It wasn't too expensive. So it's that one. And I realize I'm showing everything in frames. I do finish things in like pillows and flat folds and stuff like that, but for some reason these were just the ones I picked and easiest to
I think
grab. So
the ones I
I
have
do
to
I do do things differently than just frames, but
the ones I
um
have are all framed, or one of them doesn't have glass, but
yeah.
I mean
This
behind
I
me.
have one here that's not in glass either. Um So my next one is, and you have this in your finish box. Um, so this is Primrose Cottages, The Witch Next Door, and this one is on a 28 count linen. Which again, this is like the second linen I'm already showing you. I don't stitch on linen anymore. But early on, I thought it was a great idea. So the fabric is affogato. And for the longest time, I thought that was like a strange word for avocado because it does
Every
have a
time
funny
someone
taste
says
to
it,
it,
that's what I hear too is avocado.
right? Well, so it was funny last night. I was like, what does that actually mean? Affogato?
What does
So
it
I
mean?
Googled it and get this, like the how far we both are from thinking it's avocado. It's an Italian dessert. that's like ice cream or gelato with milk over it and then espresso on top of it. I was like, that's totally different from avocado and actually sounds more delicious than avocado. But
So I assume it must be when you look it up that kind of color, the dessert itself, kind of
yeah,
that.
it kind of has that kind of creamy brownness, but it
Mine's
does actually have in the right light, it has a little bit of green tint to it. So that's why in my brain I just thought it was avocado. But but
I
this
don't
is
think I've
this was one of the bigger ones that I picked on my first visit to Colorado Cross Stitcher that I was like, "Oh, someday I'll do that." And I started it and it just took me a really long time because of the big house. But I
I
eventually
wish I would
finished.
have known you were going to show that one because I could have. Mine's not finished yet, of course, because I have a box,
Yeah.
a drawer full. But my fabric is completely different.
Hmm.
I
Isn't it kind of a grayish purple?
It is. It's like a grayish, kind of like a spooky Halloween night type color. Um, I think for mine, I think I stayed fairly true to called for, but I had to change my house. I changed my house
Hmm.
color to like a dirty white because I wanted the witch's house to be like gross, kind
Yeah,
of.
more
It's not.
kind of spooky-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish. I'll have to dig that.
Yeah.
See if I can.
And my next one, I this is actually my most recent FFO. Um, and uh I did pinning and lacing on this. This was my first time pinning and lacing. I just used like a foam board and a little bit of batting. Watched like a some kind of DIY tutorial kind of thing. But the frame, it's kind of a weird size. So I decided to do an art to frames order where you can order it to the exact measurements that you want. I had watched it was Emma on B&E Stitchery had talked about art to frames. So I ordered three different frames, and this is the only one that I've actually completed so far. But this one is Country Cottage Needleworks. Obviously, Love Lives Here is the name of the pattern. And I had started this once on a linen, and it was almost like see-through, which was really hard with the pinks and the reds and the greens. So I actually scrapped that. It was like, I wasn't enjoying it at all. So then I switched to this one, which is a 16 count um, Stitch Me. So for a while I was in the Stitch Me fabric monthly fabric club. And I love their fabrics. It's like that perfect, like kind of soft Aida. So uh, this one's vanilla latte, if I didn't say that. So I finished this one back in February. And one of the things that I really like, you can choose whether you want glass or not when you order it. So without the glass, it's like really lightweight. So it's going to be easy to like hang wherever I really want without thinking it's going to like fall off the.
Your margins are like that looks professionally done.
Well,
For
and
real.
I was surprised at how easy it was to get it square like that.
Hmm.
Because uh for whatever reason I was thinking it was going to be really hard and like going from side to side and like pinning. But really it was like just getting it square, and with the batting, once it was square, it stayed in place. So
Right.
then I could
With
pull
the
it and
Aiden, they
pin
don't.
it.
The linen stretches a lot, I feel, and with
Hmm.
Aiden, it's a lot. It has a lot less shift to
Hmm.
it. So when you stretch it and pull it, it's easier to keep it straight. It doesn't
Hmm.
have as much flow. Because
Yeah.
I'm a 100% Ada stitcher. I tried linen twice, and I was like, no way. This is
Hmm.
my brain can't do the 2/2. I just and I stitch in hand, and I go really really fast, and
Hmm.
I can't, it's too much. Where you are more, you'll try stuff and like it. I'm like, you did it on linen. Oh my gosh, you're crazy. But
Well, and that's kind of why I stopped stitching on linen, was because I found it was difficult to finish it on my own without it looking lopsided and wonky.
right,
So that's why I tend to go back to Ada or like an even weave Lugana kind of thing.
16 count Ada is my
Yeah.
I 18 count is almost too small for me.
Hmm.
And then 14 is just you could do it in your sleep if you do it. But I like
Hmm.
the 16 is like perfectly tight, not too big, not too small.
Hmm.
That's what I have found in my experiments of
Yeah, and
stitching.
I
I
like
really,
that at 16 and even at 32 count, you can stick with the two
mhm.
strands. Whereas once you get to 18 count, then it can be
Yeah,
really thick and you have to do
uh,
one strand. I don't like doing one strand, so
yeah. All of the things I've started, I think there's only one thing I've ever actually finished on 18 count, and that's I think it's called Raccoon Rabble. Um,
Mhm.
and it was torture for me. I was like, but it's so cute. And it ended up being way small. So someday I may do that again. But
On 16 count.
yeah, I just found I don't love 18 count. It's just a little too small.
Mhm.
And I like to do smaller-ish stuff anyway, so then it makes it really small. And then you're like this little
Yeah.
tiny.
You're like, I have a pin cushion instead of something to go on the wall.
Yeah, which is one of my things is if you tell me how big something is, it's like, okay, cool. Like if I order something on the internet, I don't know how many times I've ordered something and I've gotten it and I'm like, oh, well, this is a lot smaller than I thought it was. Or like, oh, this is too big. So, my husband, if we're doing projects, I'm like, you actually physically need to tell me the exact like size I need to
Show
order.
me.
Because if you leave it up to me, you're gonna end up with like dollhouse something or other because my brain just doesn't I can't do like I want to say I can't, but I can't. Like I just know my limits and figure and like trying to imagine how big something is from the internet. It's like, oh yeah, that should work. And then you get it, you're like,
Yeah.
oh
Like not even close.
yeah.
I have my last one is my absolute favorite. And this is the one that like right away when Melissa was like, "Hey, I'll stitch that with you," like 'cause, because I think I'd shown it on my Flosstube and was like, "If anybody wants to stitch it," and she reached out and I was like, "Hey, somebody as crazy as me," because I think you're the only one that stitched it with me. But it took me. She blew through hers. She was just like, she's fast. She hand stitches, so she's always like, "I'm done," and I'm like. I'll get there. It's more of a stitch along for her and a start along for me.
You
So
finished it.
this is the
And
little
look it,
little
mine's not even framed. Mine's still
yeah
in the drawer, so you win.
yeah. So this is the it's Little House Needleworks, I think. Jingle all the way. And this was one that I again early on I was like, oh, I'll stitch it on linen. And I think that's why I didn't pick it up as often because it was linen and I felt like it took longer to stitch because I was trying to be very gentle with it and not like pull it all wonky.
Oh,
And of course the houses are gigantic.
they
So
are.
in terms of thinking something smaller or bigger than, when you see it online, they were beasts. So it just took me a while. I had to substitute the white. It was, I think it called for eggshell, and I substituted it as Classic Colorworks 12 grain, so
Mhm.
that it would actually show up better on the fabric.
Yeah.
Um, the framing is from, and I'm going to turn it around because it has the name on the back, and I don't even want to like. Does that come through in the right direction to you?
Is it half
Hef is it
half a piece?
Hephaestus frames?
Something like that, yeah.
Hephas Hephaestus frames. Um, Colorado Cross Stitcher has them every Saturday. They hang out at Colorado Cross Stitcher for framing. I got this. It was over like December into January, and they did a fantastic job. Like
Really good.
it's um, obviously pinned and laced, and it's got the museum glass in it, so that's why it doesn't reflect so much.
Yeah.
And
Is the
there's
frame
this
gold or is it more bronze? I can't tell.
Well, so that's the coolest thing about this. Every angle, like it will look dark brown and then it will look kind of gold.
Yeah,
And
because
I
it
love
looks like the
that
gold.
gold really brought out like the brown in the trees.
Yeah, it's
So
really good.
I still have it up. I figured it was kind of more of wintry that I could keep it up beyond Christmas time. Of course,
It's
now that
your
the
house.
tulips are blooming, I should probably take it down, but
Your house, your rules. You can
that's
keep it
right.
all year
But
round if you want.
every time I walk past it, the light catches it differently, and I stop it all the time, and I'm like, "Oh, I love it." It was
See?
worth all the stitches.
Yes. I mean,
So,
I feel like you put that much work into something, and why not display it all the time?
mhm. Well, and that was
But
like, one of the first ones that I was just like, "Wow, if I can do that, if I can really stitch that whole thing and have it look really nice," like, my white stitches look amazing on this, I will brag about that, they look phenomenal. Um, like, if I can complete that and have it hanging on my wall, I'll feel like I have made it, like, that I know what I'm doing as a stitcher. So that's why I'm like, I feel so
yeah,
accomplished by
I
this
think
one
that
project.
another one, I think they have another one. I think it's called Peace on Earth, maybe.
Mhm,
I have that one to do, and that is another one. I can't even think of exactly what it looks like, but I know it has a big house in it. I'm pretty
mhm.
sure. That's another one where they would look really nice
Yeah,
together.
I think it has
Side.
the same font.
Yeah, they look like companion, but I don't know how big
Mhm,
are together. But that's one where I'm like, oh man, that jingle all the way took a long time. I don't know if I want
mhm.
this or not.
But I mean, you had yours cranked out. I feel like you had it done within a month.
Yes, if I'm really passionate about something, I will
Mhm.
just. But if I get bored, then I'm like, eh. And I have
Yeah,
a lot where I'm just like, eh. I got
yeah.
bored. And I'm very seasonal. I couldn't stitch Christmas or winter right now, even
Mhm.
though where I live, it's currently snowing on what day is it today?
April 1st, I think, right?
March
Or
30th
March. Yeah.
today.
Yeah, we didn't say that at the start. March 31st, is that right?
It's the 30th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's snowing
so,
here. And I think it's supposed to be kind of chilly all week, which is
yeah.
sad. Spring
So,
will be
but
here. It always shows up.
those are the FFOs that I have to share. So what did you pick out?
Well, this was one of my first ones that I ever did. And I didn't do all of it because I didn't know how to measure and count for fabric. And it was way too
Minor detail.
and I have to say this was a really hard one to start with because it just was. Like I if I could go back and do it now, I think it'd do a lot better. Um but I think the way it ended up isn't terrible. Let me see where my best I have windows. Oh, there. Is that okay?
Oh, there you go. Yep.
I framed it myself. It's very crooked in there. I don't even know. This is like gotta be an. You know what? This is a even weave.
Oh,
And
that would you just like a random scrap that you had?
yeah, I found a bunch when I started. I just started with whatever I found at thrift stores.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a local needlework or quilt. There's a couple of quilt shops around, but there's no needlework shops near me at all. Um, so I think it was like an even weave. And I think now knowing myself, that's why I had such a hard time with it. Because it is over two and I hated it. And it this is when I finished it in 2023. But now it hangs on my wall and I walk by it because it's on the hallway and I'm like, I did that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was very challenging and I'm glad I made the decision to not do the whole
Right.
thing. I think it's just that top little corner
Mm-hmm.
instead
Well,
of
even just with that one right there, you can see that the your own color picks. Like even on your one of your first ones, you're like, nope, I'm adding blue petals and I'm
yep,
mixing it up.
yep. Oh, I guess I didn't even realize that because
Yeah.
I don't have, here's my back.
Well, that's cute. Yeah.
This fabric, I don't know. I just make up stuff. It works. No one's gonna see it against my wall. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like brown. So I changed all the brown.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I wanted my petals to pop more. I don't know. This was before I kind of started writing stuff down. And honestly, I write some stuff down and I'm going to be better because I never planned on doing Flosstube in my life. So I just, and I didn't, I mean, if someone asked me, I have one, I don't, it's not one of the ones I'm going to show, but I did a complete color conversion on it and it was like 5 notebook pages I emailed. I had to write it all down, or I Instagrammed, or whatever it was. She's like, "Can I have your conversion?" I'm like, "Sure." And for it has a bunch of animals on it, and I literally changed every single one. And I didn't use much of the floss back and forth. So um this one, I think it was a Patreon by Liz Matthews. And I think it's called Love. I think that's the name of it. My husband made this out of reclaimed wood.
Hmm.
I just put it. This is just cardboard on the back, but I just inset. It's got batting on it, and I just inset. I
Hmm.
think it's 2 layers of cardboard thick, so it doesn't stick out a lot, but it sticks out enough. And I have to hang this up in my room. I finished this forever ago, and it's been sitting on my dresser for me to hang up. I get
That's hilarious.
So one thing I've learned in my old age is I literally for real have like ADHD. And so I'll set something like, oh, I'm gonna hang this up. I need to get the hammer. And then all of a sudden I'm doing laundry and then I'm stitching and I totally forget that I set something down. And then I look at it every day, like, yeah, I gotta do that.
I gotta do
I
that.
gotta
Yeah.
do it. So I'm working.
Is that more of a purple color, the floss?
Yeah, it was a week's dye works, I'm pretty sure. And it was one that some of them aren't as variegated, but this one was, and it might actually be two purples. I might have done the letters.
Yeah,
Again,
it
this is,
does look kind of like a darker and a lighter, like you mixed
I
it.
think that's what I did. But also, I think it might have just been that variegated.
Hmm.
Again, this is before I really wrote anything down. Um, Sometimes if it's just I'm using one fabric and just one floss, why write it down?
Hmm.
I'm not, there's not anything for me. Like I write it down so I know what color I did because I change it so much. The next one is this. So my daughter has had this stuffed animal called Chocolate Bunny since she was about 2 or 3 years old. She got it for Easter from her grandparents. And when I saw that pattern, I'm like, I have to do that. And I just framed it up.
Oh, that's so
I
cute.
didn't. So the tails are supposed to be buttons.
Uh-huh.
I don't have time for that. So I just did little white stitches instead.
Yep.
And
That's
again,
cute.
I did not save. It's pretty close to called for.
Yeah. For
They
you,
have,
that's very close to called for.
I may have even done called for, except for in the letters up here, I can tell in the
Hmm.
pattern more blue, but I think
Yep.
it didn't match with my fabric, which is a 14 count Ada, and I can't remember the name of this color, but it's something. It's a green. I can't remember
It's
what it.
it looks kind of like a minty
It's
green of
almost like
sorts.
sage. It's almost like a minty sage at the same time.
Yeah.
I used to be in the fat quarter shop witch Hilt club,
Hmm.
and I'm sure that's where that came from. And then last but not least, and again, this is probably one of my favorite ones I have ever done to date. Framed by myself, which I don't think I pinned it. Now that I look at it, you can see some creases. But this is the Adventure Sampler by Sambry Stitches. And I love it. And I know I changed colors. I think her bird
Hmm.
is a different color on the pattern. Um, and part of that's because I used it's this one is like a aqua-ish
Hmm.
Ada. It's definitely 14 count. But I love Bigfoot and I love Hills. And when she released this, I was like, I'm doing it.
Well,
Uh,
and I think that's the one, because I remember you working on that and changing colors. And like you mentioned at the start where you like to change colors so that they're a little bit more realistic.
yeah, this is one of those for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think her bear was brown, but we have black bears where I live.
Hmm.
So I changed it black. And I don't have mountains, but I left these in because why not? I mean,
Yeah.
but it's also not hanging up yet. It's in my
All
file.
right. Next time I'm checking in with you, I'm gonna be like, did you get those hung on the wall?
I need to. Like I said, I the greatest plans. It takes all my
Right?
poking and stitchy time, you know. So
Yep.
that's all I have for my some of my favorite fully finished. There's a couple I didn't show. I'll show them another time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's what we figure. Well, like if we don't have an FFO or a recent FFO, then we might just pull the past FFO to share since we have a couple of years worth.
in
So
true opposite fashion, you'll finish something and then it's like fully finished in a good way. I finish something and I'm like, on to the next, on to the next,
yeah.
the next. And then I'm like, I need to count how many. There's got to be what, like 30 in that drawer?
Just from the other night when you're like this one and this, I was like that you easily have 30 in that drawer for sure.
I know. I need to do that. What have I been doing with my life? um, so yeah, do you want to show what are we doing now? Just finishes we've done either recently or in the past that we hope to get fully finished sometime soon. Is that
Yeah,
I think that's
sorry, I
right.
had some alert pop up on my computer, so I was reading it, something
Oh,
from Zoom. Um, see if I can make the screen go away. There we go. We'll see what
we wrote down a
hopefully it's
little
tweaking anything on the back end. So
we
let's
wrote
see. Yeah,
down a little
finishes. Let me find my
a
uh
little
because I think I pulled
episode.
4 for that as well.
Yeah, we wrote a little episode outline to try to keep us, on
Yeah,
track because
somewhat on track, not
usually
totally squirreling.
when we get on Zoom calls, we're talking about life or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not doing
Uh,
this.
so so let's see. A finish that needs FFO'd. Oh, that's at the bottom of my file, of course.
I
Um,
kept mine to four, two older and two newer. So
yeah, so I've got um
throw this out
this
of the
one here from, and this is a mystery fabric. I'm pretty sure it's Be Stitch Me. It's exactly like the Stitch Me fabric. I just can't remember what color it is. Um, and I think it's 28 count. But it's the Blessed Beyond Measure by Sweet Wing Studios.
I love her stuff.
This is actually one of those that has been finished for a while that I just haven't FFO'd.
It's are you
Because
gonna frame?
well, I was initially thinking I'd do like a pillow.
Oh, that would for your hutch, that would be really cute.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll do a frame, and I actually had taken it in trying to find a frame for it, and I wasn't very successful there. But now I actually have um this I don't know, Hobby Lobby or whatever kind of
Oh,
board. So I'm gonna do it as like a flat finish of sorts, like
yeah,
on
that's
this board. So
that
it's
looks
just one of those things that I just have to do. It won't, especially now that I mean, I've done lots of flat finishes anyways, but now that I know for sure what I'm gonna do with it, I should be able to FFO it.
what's your favorite way to finish stuff? Or does it just kind of depend on
Yeah, I think it depends on what my mind thinks is easy to finish for that. Like,
I
and
makes sense.
I try to have a vision in mind before I even start something
Hmm.
so that it doesn't sit too long once it's done. But then sometimes I kind of, once I get done, I have decision fatigue or there's
Hmm.
just too many options and I can't quite make up my mind what I want to do with it.
So I think that's part of my thing is I don't make stuff going into thinking like, oh, I want to frame this. So I don't have a plan. I just this is pretty, I want to do it.
Hmm.
And then also decision fatigue is like some days you're just like, I don't want to do this because I have to make decisions and I don't want to do that right now.
Right?
Like sometimes even looking for a whip to work on, you're just like, I don't want to do any of these. I don't want to make a choice.
It's
Somebody
funny
told
too, like, I don't know about you, but once I finally get around to finishing something
me,
and you actually start, then it's enjoyable to actually finish it, but it's that starting part and getting going with it. Uh,
yeah.
that's the hurdle.
Or I'll get stuck, which one of the ones I'm going to show, I'll get stuck because I don't like where it's going.
Hmm.
I don't want to have to make a decision on how to fix it. Like I
Right?
don't make that choice. What do I have to do to make this be what I want it to be
Hmm.
because I don't like it right now?
It goes in like timeout.
Yeah, timeout. That's a good word. Or
Let's see.
the season changes and I'm like, well, winter's over. I'm done.
Right? And I usually like I can stitch like that Jingle All the Way. I think I finished in July. Um, I finished like Halloween and like March, and I can bounce around between things, kind of whatever I'm in the mood for, or get a wild hair for. This one is Waxing Moon Designs. It's called Search the Sky. And this one is on 25 count, which is actually one of my favorite counts to stitch on as 2/2. But obviously things end up much bigger. But I just think I can stitch so much faster on 25 count, and I do like how things end up bigger. Um,
That one wouldn't look good if it was, at least I don't think, it's much smaller than it is.
right?
Because
Uh,
it needs, I feel like the snowflakes, like it needs
mhm.
that.
Well, and
That's my.
this that all that text is
Mhm.
all back stitching. And I think it actually would be in certain places would be really challenging to do on something that's smaller.
Those aren't crosses.
Mm-mm.
They're
Those
backs.
are all it's all back stitching except for like where
Oh my gosh.
like that that's some full stitches and half stitches,
Hmm.
but the most of the letters are just it's all back stitching.
That's so pretty.
So I have, and this was just a medium blue is what it was called, medium blue Lugana that I got from 123 Stitch. And I don't think there were any abbreviations to tell me like which like maker or
Yeah.
dyer. So this one I have one of the I'm gonna stretch to grab it. One of the art to frame frames for. Because it's not quite like an 11 by 14 or whatever. I think it's like 10 by 13 or something when I have like allowance for the margins. So I just thought the white um would look good. Oops, that's upside down. Um the white frame would work to like
Yes.
pop the snowflakes.
Hmm. I love the red of that Santa too. He's so pretty.
Yeah. And it was all the called for um colors,
So
which I think were like fancy
she's
floss kind of.
um she's actually from Iowa, and when we do our Iowa trip, I mean, because we don't have, like I said, I don't have any Needleworks shops. I could go down into like the Minneapolis area, I think,
Hmm.
but I don't love cities, so I try not to go to them. Um, but when we do our Iowa trip, I think it's Osage, Iowa. I think that's the name of the town, and it's just a little bit off the highway. And we stopped into this needlework store. My dear husband was so bored. Oh my gosh, he said they have like a husband corner where you sit in their chairs. But that was my first time ever being in one. It was super overwhelming, and they had all of the waxy moon stuff there. And she said to me, "Oh, she just lives right out, down the road here." And I was like, "Well, that is really cool." And I bought some
Yeah.
when I was there. So, fun fact: she lives not too. I mean, it's like a 5 hour drive for me, but not too
Hmm.
far. But when we go down to Iowa again in August, I'm gonna make him stop there again. And
Yeah. I have some more of the Waxy Moon designs like the trios. Like
I
I
have
have
the
the Valentine's trio and the Easter trio.
I have the um I think they're called Patriotic Barns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Liberty Barn Trio. I have two
Hmm.
out of three done. I just need to do the third one.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
I like
those
her
are good
stuff. Her
fun too.
stuff is good to stitch.
Hmm. And my next one is it's called If Pumpkins Could Fly by Hands On Design. And this one is also on a Be Stitch Me 28 count sand dollar. And it's all the called for. But I did at one point I was in the middle of watching something on TV, Netflix or something, and I somehow swapped my green colors. So the greens aren't exactly where the greens should be. I think they're kind of like reversed or whatever, and I just kind of mixed it up as I went. So, and then I skipped most of the back stitching. The only back stitching that I did was with the banner down here on the boo. Um, and left it because the bats are supposed to have some and the pumpkins are supposed to have little gizmos, and I was like I'm not, by the time I got it done I was like I'm over it, I'm done.
Yeah. when I do backstitch, I try to do it as it comes. Otherwise, I'll never go back
Yeah,
into
I
it.
definitely, I think I have learned
Yeah,
that. I have, and I'm gonna show that one as part of whips, but I have one that I am gonna have a boatload of backstitching to do, and I'm kind of dreading it.
yeah. It's interesting. I was thinking the other night how interesting it is how much you learn about yourself when you do something like this.
Mm-hmm. And like how persistent or resilient you can be.
Right. Or even how motivated or unmotivated,
Yeah.
depending. Or like what
Um,
things will stop you from moving forward. You're like, this is crazy.
mhm.
I stopped here.
Even when it's something small where you're like, yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
no, I'm over it. And this is a poor way of holding it up, but this is also another art to frame that I'm gonna stick it in, and it's like six and an eighth by like 9 3/8 or something
Um,
like that.
do those come with hangers on the back and a stand, or are they just
So
flat?
it's got I'll show you the back. So it comes with like just cardboard in the middle. And
Mhm.
it does have the little kachunker things on the back, which is my favorite because then you can smush your foam board
Yes.
in.
Have a lot
Um
more
and
food.
it comes with a hanger that it's the kind where you it's got the prongs on it that you nail in.
Okay.
So I actually think I'm gonna go and buy a pack where it's you can screw it in instead of having to bang on the frame. Uh,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come with like any backing or any easel.
Easily,
Um,
yeah. I
so,
was just
but
thinking,
really inexpensive.
yeah, and the to go to like Home Depot or whatever to get one of those picture hanging kits,
Hmm.
probably Amazon even too. They're not that expensive.
Yeah,
Isn't
and to get probably 6 or 8 of them in a pack, that will
it?
last me a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the screw I would do that too, rather than because what if you crack it?
Well, and after I finished that Love Lives Here, um, I was like, oh, I'll put the hanger on, and I went to unwrap it, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna take a hammer and like bang on top of this thing now. Where
Yeah.
it's to just set it on and like put a screw in, I feel is the safer way to go. Um,
Or you could get E6000 and just glue it.
yeah. I have to find where, oh, there it is. Okay, and this is my last one for finishes that need FFO'd. Um, so it's just a small, I actually was working on this near around Valentine's Day, and I just actually finished it yesterday, so I was a little behind the 8 ball, but it's done. And this one, this is the one that I was telling you about the other night that I was like, and I actually changed some colors, but it's not like massive changes by any means. And I just grabbed colors that I had, so it's not any that are called for. And then obviously I changed the bottom from all pink to red and pink.
Hmm.
And then I just kind of went with whatever color I wanted for the hearts instead of, dark light matching the pattern. So for me, that's like the most like wild I get when it comes to changing colors around so far. And then it's probably only like 4 inches by 4 inches. So I think I'll make this into just a small pillow.
Yeah,
And it's just on a scrap chunk of 14 count Ada that I had.
it's really cute.
So
That's another reason why I like cross stitches because you can just whatever the hearts can be whatever color you want.
mhm.
Or like with quilting, there's still some creative liberty, but you
Yeah.
can't. There's not as much. There's
Hmm.
thinking involved in it, but
Yeah.
um, what I have is, and again, I didn't really keep good notes, but um, the first two are ones that have been finished for a little while. This one's a little more, and the other two are ones I recently just finished. So there's this spring chicken, and I don't know. I'm stayed pretty. Tell me if I need a board because I made a cute little.
That one's actually pretty thick. I think you're good there.
It's pretty close.
Pretty close, but still unique in your own
I
like
don't like
your
brown.
coloring.
I don't like brown, so I changed it to gray
Yep.
because I don't know why. I just don't like brown.
Yeah.
Like some
And
people,
the fabric green looks so good against the brightness of the chicken.
and I have no idea what it is, but that's it's definitely an 8. I can tell you that, and I think I can't tell if it's 14 or 16. I think it's a 16 because it's a little bit smaller.
Hmm.
But I just usually what I do is I try to keep the packaging that my fabric comes in. with my stuff. And these have been done, so everything's been dispersed again. But then what I do is I measure what I have left and I write little sticky notes. So even if I have two chunks, I'll say smaller piece is, 8 by 9, larger
Hmm.
piece 12 by 15. So then when I'm looking at it, if I want that color, I'll be like, okay, well, I need it to be this much.
Hmm.
I would say, future Melissa thanks herself for that. Otherwise, I got to pull it out, measure it all. I might as well measure it before I put it
Put it
away.
back.
See,
Look at you being all organized.
sometimes, sometimes I'm with it. Sometimes I'm not. So, I think you said you would put a picture in to show the colors of
Hmm.
this, but it's called Pink Egg. And if I recall, the egg is pink, obviously, and I think, you know what? I have my phone. Let me, actually, I don't know where it is. Let me see if I can find it really, really fast in my Etsy. But
On your rooster one that you showed, how are you thinking you're gonna maybe finish that?
I think I'm gonna do like this, like this, like a little block
Mm.
like that. And this is just a Dollar Tree, which everyone talks about Hobby Lobby, but Dollar Tree can be pretty good for this stuff. Inside of it, it had like this cat or panda bear on like a pineapple or something weird. It's a tropical. I don't know. It was weird. I popped all of that out and I just lined in here enough cardboard to keep it flat. And my glue job is terrible, but whatever. It sits in a tiered tray.
You can't tell from here.
I think, and it's called spring chicken, but my house is decorated with cows, barns, chickens, that kind of stuff. So she can go out all the time. And we
Yeah.
actually have chickens. So it fits. Um let me see. Well, while I'm looking for my thing to pull up, this is my not pink egg. Everything. Everything everything has changed. I don't know if I oh, I did. Hold on 1 second. So what I was doing before I found a book scenario that worked for me is I was just using like a not quite an index card but close, and I
Hmm.
write the symbol down. But because this one has so many different um, motifs, I did it by that. So like right
Hmm.
flower, left flower, or whatever, so that I could try and keep track of it. I'm trying to see if I can find all of my orders, but anyways, I'm not gonna waste time doing that. It's called Pink Egg, or Pink Easter Egg, and it's by Stitch Patterns Design. I found it on Etsy, and I just thought it was really pretty. And I
Yeah.
love purple. Purple is my favorite color. So, and teal. So
I like that you put the year on some of your projects. I've
I
never
try,
I've never done that.
I try to remember to do that. Like this one, I could probably squeeze it in somewhere, like maybe under her body or something. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Or sometimes I do it if there's something in the pattern that I didn't like. I'll put the year there instead because
Like
sometimes
plug it in.
it'll look like empty space and it looks weird. So I do that sometimes because, and sometimes I just remember to put the year. I don't know. I'm not
Hmm.
sure how I should finish this one though because it's kind of big. It's just a 14 count white Ada, probably from like Hobby Lobby or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. I
I
think,
think it could work as a pillow, like a
yeah,
small pillow.
yeah, I haven't. That's why it's not finished because it's like kind of big for a pillow. I could do like a flat folds, maybe. I don't know. That's why it's not finished. Because this one I just recently stitched. It's a what is it? A crochet.
Whatever, Gogo.
It's one of hers. This is all pink. Like everything is different on mine. We can show that another time. But I was inspired because I loved it. Right. So I
Yep.
finished it right
Yeah,
away,
turn
and I.
around and finish it. Yeah.
But this one, I'm like, so many of them. I'm like, I don't know.
Right?
Or if I worked really hard, like my Jingle All the Way. I do want to frame that, but I need to find the
Yeah,
perfect
just the
frame.
right thing.
So we have this is my next one. And I didn't do the whole thing because I ran out of green. That's why. Oh, it's too long for my board. I still have my needle. So the greens that I use were, let me find them. Um, Secret Garden. I love coloring cotton. And they used to have a thread club, which I'm super bummed because they stopped doing that. And Tree Lot. Well, the Secret Garden is a limited edition, and this is all I have left.
Oh wow.
So it was from the thread kit. So as you can see, there's no way. And my plan,
That's a lot.
I was never gonna do the outside leaves,
Mhm.
and I was only gonna do 10 because I don't like this one. I there's something about it. It's like everything else is bright and spring, and it
Mhm.
looks like fall to me.
It just draws your
But
attention
it's
over to that corner.
called the Prairie Garden. So yeah, it's maybe if it would have been in a different spot, but I didn't like it, so I was only gonna do 10, and my plan was to do 5 by 5.
Hmm.
Well, I ran out of green, so we just got 5. And here, I'll just shift it around. The fabric is 16 count. It's Millennial fabrics, which are my absolute favorite fabrics to use. And it's called Daffodil, and it's part of their yeah, there we go. Kind of see it. It's part of their fabric of the month. I'm in their club for their fabric and for their two of their threads, the weeks and the classic color work.
Hmm.
So these, I love these. I love these. I love these. Don't love it. I originally stitched it in this autumn leaves. And then, so it has like this weird thing in the middle that looks like a tongue.
Uh-huh.
And it really bothers me. But I originally did it in that. And I didn't like it. So I frogged it. This one flower, the whole thing. And then I was like, well, maybe I can choose a different flower because I already had the green done. And I was like, maybe I could just choose a different flower. But then I was thinking about this one here.
Hmm.
Then I looked at the chart and it was like fleckles everywhere. I'm like,
Like, nope, I'm done.
nope. So I just went with, you know, I just picked from colors that I had already picked out to stitch. And it's not bad. It's all right. I
No,
can live with it.
I love
I
the
think,
fat like the contrast with the yellow fabric.
yeah. I said I hate it less, and she laughed at me because I don't. It's not like, oh,
Is
I
that
like.
always the goal? I hate it less when we have to fix something. Well, I hate it less than it looked before.
I think I'm gonna get a long frame for this. I think that'll be really pretty,
Hmm.
and I
I
think
think
it's
it would
cool.
look good. It kind of as what's it called, like a bell pull. You could go well. You couldn't really turn it vertical, but
No, because there's
yeah.
this in the middle and the end.
Hmm.
Uh, what's that called? I don't know what the word is. I can't think. My brain is frozen. Directional.
Yeah.
But I think a nice, like a white frame would
Hmm.
be really pretty.
Hmm.
And the one thing I like about the Millennial Fabrics one is sometimes the colors are kind of like, I don't want to say wild. They're brighter, but they're not obnoxious. Because like some of the fabric ones you get, and you're like, what am I ever gonna do with that? Like that's way too bright for me. Where like this, I don't love yellow. I don't know why. Yellow and brown are just my two that I don't really love. But this is soft enough that like
Hmm.
I don't know. So I
Yeah,
finished
it's a
that one.
good kind of spring pastel color that works with flowers or probably anything kind of Eastery too.
Yeah, I think like I said, in the right room it could go up. It also could be cute as a long pillow.
Hmm.
So that will probably sit in a drawer for a while till I figure. So when I was going through my whips and stuff to try to like, well, I got myself a new notebook that I'm using to try to keep track of better stuff. I was going through my whips and I came across this one that I had started sometime after. I think this was a market from the fall.
Hmm.
This, I could be wrong, but I think it was, and I think I started it sometime in 2024 after that. Well, wait, wait, I don't think I've ever showed you this one, have
I
I?
was gonna say I've never seen that one before.
The-
Whoa! Those purples are awesome.
Well, the house in here, I didn't like it. I didn't like the roof. I don't like the pattern in a roof. I don't know why. It just didn't set well with my eyes. Um, I don't like the yellow because, as I said, I don't really love yellow. And so I changed it. So I made my house white with a black roof and
Yep, with a
gray.
solid roof.
So, because in my brain, you're more likely to see a house like this than like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was a completely different color, and last night I frogged it all out and restitched it.
Really?
So that's two. Flowers, I guess, are not my thing, but my favorite part about all of this is the strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they pretty?
Yep. Well, and I think they look better with the purple next to them. The
And this is
contrast with the purple.
an Ada I dyed myself a long, long time ago, and I was going to
Mhm.
use it for Halloween, but then I found this pattern and I thought it was really pretty, and it worked.
I think you sent me a scrap of that Ada.
I might have, because I dyed a huge piece of it, but it turned out pretty good. And I'm not, so I don't always love words and stuff, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna do that part. Everyone knows love
I
grows on
like
a
it.
tree.
That's cool. Yeah, and I've never seen that. I've never seen that pattern before. That's cool.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was a market release. It says 2023, so maybe it was a spring from last spring then.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna be better about my record keeping, and I promise.
Like famous last
But
words
I'm pretty
for
proud.
all of us. Be
I
better
mean,
about record keeping.
so what stopped me is I didn't like this. I didn't like it, and I stopped. And
Mm-hmm.
all I had to do was finish these little tiny ones, and add some of the back stitching,
Mm-hmm.
and finish up the strawberries. That's all I had to do. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And these are, you know, with this, it was like a strand or, two or three.
Yep.
So I have all this I need to put away. But really, when I stitch, it's mostly a mix of Classic Colorworks, Weeks, Color and Cotton. And when I do blacks and whites, I usually use um, DMC, but unless the like Color and Cotton has really good whites,
Mm-hmm.
I use that. Because I was telling Angie, I have all this DMC, but I've learned I like to have the rings, and I'm just too lazy to go through my DMC. But I think if I could get my DMC on pieces like this,
Mm-hmm.
I would use it more. So maybe a project for myself would be to figure out how to make from just, cardstock paper. It doesn't need to be,
I need to send you. Oh, where did I stick them? Oh, they're behind me. Um,
because then I would probably use it.
I
And I
made
could,
I made the it's like poster board that I put scrapbook paper on and just punched holes. I have so I should send them to you because that was my plan was
same thing
this
I
one's
do.
obviously Halloween themed. Um,
Yeah,
but to ultimately every time I use a DMC to get it on a floss drop so that it's easier to substitute because right now if I even like on this, the way I keep my DMC, I'm like going through it, like a file folder kind of thing. And
yeah,
finding pinks can be kind of hard or finding, so I think your strategy of on a all the
yeah.
browns together, all the blues together would be much easier.
Yeah. So, and I also use a hole puncher, and I punch a second hole in here
Hmm.
for my little leftovers. I try not to be wasteful. I mean, some of them are so short you can't use them, but I do that. And then for the weeks, I do that too. Is I push another little hole in there so that because otherwise they get so tangly.
Hmm.
I do. I think if I had a DMC, if I had a holder like that, because I had the plastic ones, but my problem, let's see, I don't know if I have one up here. It's like the acrylic ones you can get from Amazon. There's not enough room to write the
Hmm.
number, and
Yeah,
the stickers fall
I
off.
have I think I have what you're talking about. I got some for Christmas. These little tiny things.
Yeah, mine are more of like a Paris
Hmm.
or like a weird eight. Um, but it's hard. You got to tape a number on there, and then it falls off, and then
Mm-hmm.
so they are nice. I just need a fatter, like that size would probably work for me because you can write the number
Mm-hmm.
better. Because I keep my fancy floss on rings like this in a bucket, and I have it by color. So whites, grays, blacks are on one, and I can just because like I never follow the rules, so I just say, oh, I need a pink. I find whatever pink I like and I write it down. But my
Mm-hmm.
DMC is in stores by color. So I could find it easily. I just when I'm actually doing the project, it's just such a pain to have to like pull it off and cut the
Yeah.
thin. Then you got all the other strands left, and then what do you then it just makes
Mm-hmm.
I don't like I don't like huge mess, and that is too messy for me. So but that's what I have for my fully finished or not fully finished, kind of my two recents and two kind of older
Mm-hmm.
finishes. Now I can put that stuff away. That'd be so nice.
Right.
I don't know.
So we'll do whips,
Yeah.
favorite whips.
How many do you have?
I think I have four. Um, I think.
Yeah, I got four. I did mine where I have one that's really old, and I talked to you about this the other day, and I wanted to show it to you because I really just need to do it.
Hmm.
And I have the one I've been working on a little bit that I really like. And then, yeah.
So this is one of my this is one of my older ones. Um, this is the one that I was telling you about that I have. I'm gonna have a boatload of back stitching to do. So this is I got this off of eBay. It's a Charles Wysocki Four Seasons, and I'm working on this winter house right here. And
That's like totally full coverage, right? For the house.
the house for sure. Um, so I am done with the house, aside from back stitching. Um, so I finished the house and the trees, and then I have the bottom here where there's a horse and a carriage and a pulling a sled of some kind or a sleigh. But then there's back stitching and all these windows, and along the stair railing here, there's a bunch of railings that go down.
Yeah.
So
Can't
I'm
really
close,
skip
but I'm not close.
can't really skip that either because like the windows would look
Mhm.
weird if you didn't put it in and like
Yeah, and it's got those nice like it basically puts the window panes in when you do the back stitching.
oh yeah.
So I definitely well, and the back stitching is like um the wheels on the one carriage and the
Mhm.
rails on the sleigh. So um I'm like I said, I'm close, but I'm not close. And this is just like a
Is
scrap
it
14 count I got on like
I mean
Facebook.
obviously the railing is in white. What's the windows like a brown or is it white?
For the windows, I think they're black. Yeah, it's black.
Because one thing that I try to do that helps is like whatever that color is, I try to like if I'm using it somewhere else in the pattern, then I'll go back and do back stitch with like the little bit I have left.
Hmm.
It doesn't take as much. Or I'll say, okay, I'm gonna get this white and just do as many of those spindles as I can till I run out. And then the
Hmm.
next time do that again. I don't mind back stitching though. It doesn't bother me.
Hmm. Yeah, well, and when I actually get started with it, it's
Yeah,
not so bad. And I'll show my next one because it's a lot of back stitching and I get in a groove and I'm like, hey, this is actually fun and enjoyable. Um,
right. Because
so
there's really
this,
no thinking in it, right? You
yeah,
just gotta
this
make
one
sure you're
is
in and out the right spot.
Liberty Games by Erica Michaels, and basically all those squares are backstitching.
Oh, that looks so good though.
So I feel like I'm approaching halfway with this one. And the letters, the squares and the letters go really fast. Um
Hmm.
and this is
That's
a
a
28 count vellum Lugana. And I think the abbreviation on the sticker is I think for picture this plus.
okay. That's another deceiving one because the picture on the cover makes it look way smaller than when you stitch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it looks like
that's,
it'd be this little kind of like,
yeah, it looks like
maybe
an
8
8
by
by
10
10.
size.
Right.
Yeah. And it does come with obviously like you can stitch part of it as a drum or part of it as a strawberry. And when I see stuff like that, I'm like, oh, that's cute, but I want all the other stuff too. So I'm gonna
Right.
stitch it this way and not have to like stitch things multiple times. So,
Right. Yeah,
uh,
I mean, there's a new floss tuber I've been watching her. I think her name is Amy, and it's called Stitch It Pink, I think is her channel. And she's been showing things that she just did parts of it. Like she picked her favorite part of these massive like charts and stitched them into smalls. And they are so
hmm
cute. And I'm like, well, why don't I totally could do that?
hmm
I do have a lot of patterns where I'm like, I'm never gonna do this. This is gonna take me my whole life. And
Yeah, you
I
can stitch your favorite part of the pattern.
exactly. And so I always forget, like, I could do that. And kind of like my prairie garden, it's like, well, I didn't really have a choice, but I'm kind of glad because I've done that forever if I try to do the whole thing.
hmm Yeah.
So, well, now
Uh,
you started the whole thing, so it's too late. You can't, you
yeah.
can't just do one.
Let's see. This one is um Autumn as it is as joyful by Leela Studio. And this one is on 18 count. It's the
I
first
love
time I'm
that
stitching on
turkey.
18 count, so it's with one thread. So it just goes slower for me.
How
I
do
like
you
the way it looks.
start? How do you start on a one thread?
So
You cross over it?
so
Like,
I watched the single thread start video where you can actually like you start with a tail, but then you almost kind of end up doing a single thread loop start by going like back in the same hole and coming up and going under. Like it's hard to explain, hard to explain, obviously, but so if I'm starting like a new motif, but if I'm carrying on with um like within the same motif, I'll basically just thread underneath what's already there and
right.
just start making
Yeah.
fixes that way.
Yeah, I
So,
meant on like a brand new spot where you don't
yep.
have anything to feed into.
Yeah.
How do you
And I
start
could
on
do
one
where,
strand?
you keep the tail on the back and end up like tucking it in as you go.
Mhm.
But the single thread loop start seems to work well if I've been working on it for a while. Once I get back to it, then it's almost like teaching myself how to do it again.
I
Um,
think when I have cut ends and I don't have anything to loop into, I stitch behind, I make sure I
hmm
stitch it
Like
down
tuck it in.
and then I'll cut it off when I don't cut my backs until like the end. I just leave it all willy-nilly.
Yeah.
I cut it off in the end.
So that it's like only the
How big is that going to be? Do you know?
bottom corner. It's gonna be pretty big. Like so if I had to guess based on where my charting is, like, and like I'm almost halfway across, like, I think it's gonna be probably about that big by the time it's done.
That's going to be really pretty.
And I thought, so this has that same kind of green. I
Mm-hmm.
thought this was my avocado fabric. Because I remember ordering a second one of those for this, but my notes in Instagram says that it's eggshell. I
Is it
don't
good?
know if that's right. I don't take my word for it, but I do know it's 18 count. So,
That's cool.
and it's that nice, it's a nice soft Ada, which I like. So,
Mhm.
and this is one that I'm just like, this thing's just gonna take me a while. Like,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, all of her ones, all her big ones like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have a Halloween one, which I told you I think I hadn't started it yet. Well, when I was going through my whips, I was wrong. I have started
You
it.
have started it? Yeah,
And
because
I'm a lot further along in it than I remember doing.
mm-hmm.
So, um,
That's yours. This is one that Melissa sent me.
I make bigs and actually they sell Millennial Fabrics. She buys them from me and then she sells them on her website. She does
hmm
lives and stuff. So
Highly recommend. I have a whole handful of them and I use them all the time.
so far the ones I have lasted. So I did a bunch. I did them for a long time before I asked Sarah if she would be interested in selling them on her channel to make sure that they didn't fail or on her website. Which again, I love Millennial Fabric. She is awesome. Their fabric is awesome. She sells charts, and if we do a haul thing, all of my needlework stuff that I bought was from her this time around. Don't get me wrong, I love fat quarter shop and stuff. I'm all for that.
right?
But
This one is this obviously to show I showed a patriotic one and a fall one and a winter one. This is a Christmas one. My Christmas list by Silver Creek Samplers.
and you just stitch on these whenever you feel like it. Like you're just like, oh, I want to work on this one today.
Yeah, so this one I stitched on near Christmas. I haven't picked it up since. But I definitely probably will here soon because I'm actually maybe close to halfway. Like I'd like to get this one done before next Christmas so that it's up on the wall.
Yeah.
Um, so this is how far I am on it. And it's all the called for DMC. And it's 32 count platinum. And I love it. The fabric's fantastic. It's like stiff, not stiff. Well, it's stiff and thick, and it just like the
Mhm.
stitches lay really well. Um, So,
It's
and I
an
just love
even.
the way the white pops on the platinum. Like, because I struggle sometimes with picking fabric where there's white involved, and I'm always disappointed in like the lack of pop. So,
Yeah.
this one's definitely become a favorite. I actually picked up another chunk um, the last time I was at Colorado Cross Stitcher because it does work well with so many things that have just little spots of white. So,
That car, I wonder if there's a conversion anywhere where that car is like the Griswold station wagon.
right, that it's a little longer with like the wood paneling.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
wood paneling and the green. I think is it
Yeah.
green? Ooh, I can't remember, but that's how I would do that car.
Yep.
Because we
Yes,
actually
and
have
you could pull it off. I don't think I'm creative enough to pull
we
pull off a
actually
conversion.
have a Christmas ornament for our tree that is the Griswold thing, and it sings Holiday Road, which isn't actually which is weird, but it's Clara's like favorite ornament, and it still works. I think we just replaced the batteries in it for the first time ever. Had it for a long time.
Yeah,
But
we have an ornament that looks like the eggnog mousse
oh
cups.
my gosh, that's
Yeah.
funny. I think I
Um,
have in my PDF files a Christmas vacation stitch. I should go through my PDF file.
mhm. Yeah, I did one. It's buried in Christmas boxes. So when Christmas comes closer, I'll be able to show
Yeah.
it. It's a Griswold one that is FFO'd. And then I think this is my fifth one, but this is the one that I just recently started and I'm hoping to get finished, obviously by Easter because it's an Easter one. So this is another Leela Studio um, Spring Parade, and I'm working on this one here. Uh,
Did you do any of those other ones yet?
hmm?
Have you finished another one of those?
No, this is the first one, and this is I'm pretty sure it's a 16 count. It's that like um, rustico oatmeal kind
Mhm.
of
I love that one.
yeah, where it's that kind of stiffer. I don't not straw like, but it kind of has that.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, I
Um,
love that.
So, and this is it's just called for DMC. So, hopefully, like I said, hopefully I'll get this one done by Easter, and I think it would just be a really quick either a pillow finish or a flat fold kind of finish. Although I do like your block finish that you
The
did,
black
so
ones.
I might try that. Because
I'm
if I
sure.
ended up doing all four, they could
What
just be
does
like,
that have a? Can you show that again?
uh,
If your white doesn't show up, just make him gray.
the whole
Make
rabbit.
that front bunny, make him
Hmm.
gray. Because
Yeah,
sometimes on that white doesn't show up. That's one of my things that I don't love about that.
hmm,
Or
yeah.
but
When he's I don't know if you can tell like from the picture. So he has an outline of gray
oh
around
yeah,
him. But yeah, he would look cute as a gray bunny too, just like this one
yeah.
over here that's driving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If it's outlined, he'll probably pop out enough for
Yeah.
you then. Those
So,
are so cute. But if you did all of them as block finishes, you could line them up
yeah.
like a train, of things. That would
Yeah,
be
and
really.
there's the so this is set 1 and then
Mhm.
there's set number 2, but I feel like that set number 2 is adorable, but it also has like darker, slightly darker, like more bolder colors, and I think
Mhm.
it might look a little weird to have all of them. Um,
Unless you did like every other.
yeah, maybe yeah to balance the color
Yeah.
choices out.
But
So
block finishes would be really cute. You could even just take, depending on how big it is, a chunk of wood and paint it.
Mm-hmm.
You have, handy. I have an order in, as Julie calls hers from, what are they called now? Floss, paper, scissors, or
Rock,
something
paper,
like
scissors. Yeah.
that. Yeah, her wood guy. I have an
Okay.
order with my wood guy to cut me some wood blocks, but he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
So
You're
maybe
like,
maybe
but
those.
like, what's the minimum in my order that has to be met?
Right. I think I told you, if I just go out there and start touching his saws, he'll probably be like, "What are you doing?" Be like, "Oh,
I'm
I
like,
got a
what would
saw."
block?
He'll be like, "No, you're not. Let me do it for you." But it's too cold outside. I try not to go out too much when it's freezing
Right.
and still snowing and icy. And I do have to feed my goats and chickens, but that's fine. Is that your last
Yeah,
one?
that's my last whip.
Oh, I'll start with my oldest one. And this is probably one of the first things even I ever started. And it's from Little Love's Designs, and it's called Little Dove's Year. And it has a block for every month. And it's really cute.
I'm not sure I've seen this one.
I I must have got it from Etsy. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know if my printer printed a date on here. It's old, but I need my board. Oh, I'm gonna take my clips out. Um, I have done through June or May, so I just have to do the rest of the year. And it's on this ginormous piece, 14 count, that I think came in a tube from probably Hobby Lobby. But they're so cute.
Yes, they look so good.
And I have no idea why I stopped, other than knowing myself, I probably got bored. Or something new came along and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh. And then I just never wanted to do this. I will say I am pretty sure, let me see here. I'm doing called for on this for the most part because this again was in the beginning. This is back when I had a color printer, and I have notes, but I can't show you because they're actually on the charts, and I think I paid for it, so I don't think this was free. I honestly can't remember. Oh, here we go. So I think I did do call for because based on my notes, I think there was a couple down here where I switched.
Mm-hmm.
The highlighter to me means I did call for. And there's my floss is like this. I haven't touched it in a long time, but
So if you took a little bit of time
I know.
and put that on floss drops, you'd probably be done with that stitch in like a couple weeks.
I think so. At least if I could try and do, because the June one is so cute. It's like this house with strawberries. Let me get back to the. It's like this little house. It's got little strawberries.
Yeah,
It's just so cute. And then
that's
like
cute.
oh, July. I don't love bee stuff that much, and I don't love the beach stuff. But whatever, we'll deal with it. Because I don't live any. Well, I guess I live next to a
You
huge.
might be able to turn that house more into like a cabin
Oh,
instead of a beach house.
that's a good idea. Because we do have, we can make sandcastles here, but we just don't live by the ocean.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. And I always thought sunflowers were more like August.
Yeah.
I actually,
Definitely around with our short growing seasons between Minnesota and Colorado, like it's
yeah,
definitely an August
I'm gonna
September thing.
switch these two so that the sunflowery one is in
Hmm.
August, and then like the beach one
Hmm.
is
Is
in
like
July.
July. Yep.
Great. Now I really have to work. So this is, I think, from digging through all of my stuff, I think this is my oldest one, my oldest whip, and it's probably from 2023, maybe late 2022 when I started it. So I need to just finish it.
Yeah. I have a good feeling about that one. I have a feeling you'll get that one finished.
It really is cute, and I would display it in my house. I don't
Hmm.
hate it, so
Well, and that's a nice one because you can, I mean, you can leave it up year round and it's still going to be appropriate, seasonal.
The other one I have, and this is like ongoing, and I've been pretty good about it of late. I took a small break because, you know, I didn't love this one. That's part of what. So it's the month to month by Stitching with the Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love green. So the barn really threw me off. But I thought to myself, I have, let me go look in my notebook here. I have, I think almost half of them, half of the other ones already done. So I'm like, why am I have it all kitted. Like, why, what am I waiting for? Let me see, page, I don't know, 17. So I said to myself, just do it. Because I have February, March, April, October, and November done. I do this one when I'm picking up my daughter from school. This is one of my ones I take because it's really easy. It's on 14 count Ada.
I'm surprised though if you didn't like the green barn that you kept it green, or you just didn't like the shade of green.
Um, Let me see what I did here. I think I'm actually using the called for, believe it or not.
Wow.
I am using the called for on that. I don't know why I didn't like it. I think it's the colors together that I don't love.
Like that
So
kind of aqua with the green.
yeah, but I thought to myself, Priscilla and Chelsea know what they're doing. So trust. Sometimes I tell myself, just trust the process,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't hate it as much as I thought that I would. This one is definitely not my favorite I've done so far, and it'll probably because the next ones coming up are, June, which is super cute.
Strawberries, yep.
July is adorable,
Yep.
and some of
Are
them I
those are those watermelons? Yep, okay,
yeah.
watermelon.
Some of them I do the little round ones, and some of them I don't like. If I don't think I'll use it in my house, I'm not going to do it. August is so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
September is apples. I mean, I don't know why I haven't stitched this one. Look at how cute. It is. And then January. So I got to May, and I was like, I don't like this one, and then I stopped. And then so I'm trying to be better about like if I start something like this, I really. And then here's my bag of others, and they're all on different fabrics that match their season, and so I think I have to pick fabrics for the upcoming ones, but so I do that one in parent pickup. It's very mindless, it's I also try to do outline, and then I can just sit at parent pickup and
Mm-hmm.
fill in the little spots.
Yeah.
I don't have to count as much.
Mm-hmm.
um then I started this one in February, and I've put it down for a little while. It takes kind of a lot of brain power, but it's really, really pretty. Um, it was a Patreon. I'm part of the Liz Matthews Patreon, and it's oh my gosh, the color is so pretty. So I have this blemish fabric from the Digi Stitcher, and it's called Christmas Bow, and looks like it's 14 count. A long, long time ago, I was watching a Flosstube, and somebody said you should get the blemish fabrics from her or them. I don't know if it's a her or he or whatever. And so I did. And they were kind of bright, but this is really pretty. I'm just doing DMC, believe it or not, ecru, oop, and this fabric. It's just all. Am I holding this the
Okay,
right way?
hold that back up again, like the pattern.
Oh, it goes this way. Sorry.
Okay, so it's gonna be like a massive heart. That is way bigger than the picture makes it look.
Yeah. And if you look at it, you probably can't. I'll send it to you in color because if you don't have her Patreon, I'll.
Yeah.
But it's all monochromatic. It's all two tone, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like in pictures, it's one color thread, one. And if you had a really awesome variegated, that would be so pretty.
I have
But
a I have a purple. Well, it's more of to me yours is like kind of a maroonish kind of
yeah,
purple.
it's a
I have
maroon
a really bright purple that would probably work well on too.
because it's kind of Valentine, but kind of it could be in your
Mm-hmm.
house all the time. So I'm about here-ish.
Mm-hmm.
here, it looks like. And the reason why it's so time consuming is because there's a lot of empty space and there's
Mhm.
quite a bit of counting involved. But once you get going, it's pretty fast. Like doing the big chunks of bird. And since I'm just using, ecru, I can do outlines. There's not um any like variegation or anything I have to work with. So I think it's really pretty. I I don't always love everything that she puts out. Like I don't love just samplers at all.
Mhm.
Don't I'm gonna say this right now and then you're gonna laugh when I show you the one I've actually been working on is I don't love most Quakers. It depends.
Mhm.
I'm gonna show you.
I used to like I generally am the same way, but I obviously am working on the autumn Quaker.
See, I like
Some of them really
yeah,
like, I'm
right.
like, "Oh, I could
And
go
then
for that."
her Halloween one is fantastic. Her
Mhm.
Christmas, this one I got on Etsy. I don't know why. It's called I don't know, SS065 sampler, but I call it Spring Quaker. It's black and white because I didn't print it in color. But I chose all of my own colors anyway. So mine are a mix of like my favorite colors, which are teal, purple, and blue.
Nice.
So this is, and I'm just in my notes, this DMC 930 and this blue I just kind of pick which one. So they
Mhm.
represent the same symbol, but in the motif, I'll choose which one I want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
DMC 930 and 931 are two of my favorite DMC colors.
it's on a huge piece of just 14 count white Ada because I started it a long time ago. And I felt like anything other than white would be too much.
Mhm.
So I thought I had another clip here because this piece is big. But this is how far I am.
Oh, wow.
Right now I finished this last night. So the page end was like right here.
Mhm.
I just wanted to do the whole motif. And then I started this last night. And all of this I did previously and this I worked on this last week. So kind of the eye is kind of weird. I don't love it. It's kind of
Mhm.
gives you weird vibes, but I think once you get into the whole picture, let me see if I can. It doesn't look as much like an eye in the whole thing. Because there's
Oh,
also
yeah. Yeah.
like similar.
Mhm.
So I usually like doing smaller things, but I don't really love Quakers because they really do have a lot of counting
Mhm.
and they're hard to fudge because they're very symmetrical in the motifs. And so if you're off, you have to pull it out.
When there's usually a lot of color changing too.
Yeah, they're
That definitely is with the Quake, feels
um
like it slows me down, even though I'm sure it's just it mentally feels that way. It
right.
actually doesn't take any more time.
So I have this one out for now. I don't know how long I'll work on it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how much brain. If I have good brain power, um, I can cruise on it. And
Mm-hmm.
if my brain is tired, I have other. I've kind of finished all of like that. Love Grows Here was one I was working on. That Prairie Schooler, those I just recently finished in the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm
Well,
definitely
that
not gonna.
Quaker, that would look good with your heart that you showed at the beginning, the heart that has love on it, that purpley color. Like
Yes,
that would look
this
good on the.
my room is like a light teal color wall and it's got purpley teal accents and our wedding colors were that. So when this is done, that's where it will live. It's
Nice.
2050 when I finally and I've probably changed my color. No, I'm just kidding. That's all I have for whips. I think when I get into the stuff I got from market, oops, I have some there that I want to start. I just need to get them. I'm putting them in my envelope until now, but because there's one I'm really kind of eager to start.
So I'll show, I don't know why I'm pulling anything out of the bag. It's the, basically what I'm going to start next. Um, because I try to have, this is my, I call it my, this is my smalls bag. So that's what I like. I stitched this little thing in and my little monthly monthly minis from Primrose Cottage. Like when I'm working on one of those, I always stick it in this bag. Um, and Nancy from Bougie Stitcher sent me this. She made me this one. Um, so
I saw
usually,
that that Jen opened a store and stuff. I had no idea. I took a break from Flosstube for a little while because
Mhm.
sometimes I just, again, I have this thing where I get bored about stuff.
Yeah.
So I needed a break. I take,
Hmm.
I'll go into watching more quilting, or I watched a lot of cooking ones too for food inspiration because nobody told you when you grow up you have to make food for everyone all the
Every
time.
day for the rest of your life.
And that's like, I'm not even hungry, but I still have to feed you. And so I find it inspirational, like motivating, like, oh, like this morning we were watching Pioneer Woman cooking show and she made pretzel coated chicken strips.
Ooh.
And she basically dipped them in flour, dipped them in like this honey mustard blend that she made, and then dipped them in the pretzel things and then just like pan fried them. So tonight, that is Clara's request. I will be making pretzel coated chicken strips.
Nice.
I'll let you know if
There
they're.
you go. There you go.
It's probably
Um,
more work than I'm gonna want to do at 4:30 tonight, but
right? Yeah, right now it
okay.
sounds like a good idea. Later today, it's going to sound like a lot of work.
But
This one, so my, now I have to find, I wrote it down. Because I got it off of Etsy. Um, who's the shop? Who is the shop? Who was the shop?
we always talk about how if we don't print a PDF immediately, it'll never get stitched and we'll never do it. I
Well,
think that's
and
part.
especially because this one's just a small, so I'm like, well, I could just work that from my screen. I don't need to print it.
Oh, you can work from a screen. I
Yeah, so sometimes I'll use just my like I'll use my phone or I'll use my computer screen if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'll have it up on my computer screen.
I
Uh,
can't. Like I don't even know how kids do school today on screens.
so this is my next small.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
So it's Oregon Trail. Um
That's so good.
get in losers by Occult Grandma on Etsy. So that's
That
or no, Occult Grandma on Etsy. And I'm doing
that
it
is so good.
called for, so I just have black Ada and my pile of DMCs. I have these little baggies is how I keep my DMCs that aren't
Mhm.
on floss drops. So I'll probably start this one probably later today.
And what are you doing it on black, did you say?
Yeah, it's just some scrap black that I don't even know where I got it.
I think it has to be because that's how it looks on
Yeah.
like the screen when you played the game. I feel like any other color just wouldn't, it just
Yep.
wouldn't work.
And the bright green font,
Yes. That was the best game. These kids
right?
these days have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Computer time. Yes.
Yes, right? So,
So,
and I think it'll be on for that, so the pattern it comes in either color symbol or obviously black and white. But nowhere did I see like like dimensions. Obviously on the chart it shows, like 80 by whatever roughly.
mm.
So I figure if I just start in the center of that scrap of black, I'll probably be okay. And then I have a hoop that I can finish it in pretty easily.
You can go to Fat Quarter Shop. They have a cross stitch calculator, and you
Hmm.
type in stitch size and your fabric, and it'll tell you what you need to do. That's
Yeah.
how
And I should just to double check myself so I don't start it and then end up like running off my little scrap of
I have
paper.
like a quarter-inch margin all the way around.
Yeah. I'll be
Sometimes,
like, all right, well, this is just gonna get pinned to the wall and not actually finished because I have no margin.
well, you could probably find a frame and
Hmm.
just squeeze stuff in frames. I don't do
Yeah.
all that piecing and stuff because what if I decide I don't like that frame anymore and I need to change it?
Yeah.
Or I hot glue. I know I shouldn't, but if it gets done, it gets done.
Hmm. Yep.
That
What are you planning on for your next one?
well, I'll show what I got for market. I don't do a lot of shopping, but markets when I buy most of my patterns, and then every once in a while I'll get one from Etsy if I'm super sick of everything I have, or if I just had a bad day. And also, my grandma was passing during this time, and so I think I bought things because it made me feel better. So, anyway, this was I don't even know what this was called. The Gentle Arts, which I've never used Gentle Arts floss before. Have you?
Mm. Mm-hmm. I have.
I've never touched it or whatever, but this is some limited edition thread pack that they had.
Oh wow.
So the ones when Millennial Stitcher opened hers, they were like reds and blues and like patriotic, and I'm like, cool. Well, I got
Mm-hmm.
my least favorite colors.
Oh geez.
But I think I can find something for fall. They're very fall, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
have color names on them. I think they were misdyes, and
Mm-hmm.
they turned them into like limited edition ones. I do like how thick they feel.
Mm-hmm.
They they're very thick compared to some of the others. So I will definitely use these in something when it's fall time and I'm ready to commit to fall.
Yeah.
Uh, I got this. I get these every year. I've been stitching them on the same piece of like huge fabric, the ones I have done. But now I'm in this phase where I really don't like this maroon red and this gemmy green. So the Santas are in timeout, and maybe at Christmas I'll bring them back. Um, I'll show you the ones I'm not going to do right now because that'll be easier. I got this one, Spooky Hollow, Pickle Barrel, so cute. I'm sure I have a Halloween fabric of some sort. You can't go wrong with a Halloween town.
Yeah, I feel like that bright blue is a little weird for a Halloween fabric.
Yeah,
Like,
it needs to definitely be like a spookier blue.
yeah.
It could be the picture though, because sometimes they don't picture right. But Millennial Fabrics did a grape jelly one that was a fabric of the month for Halloween time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually give me 1 second, I'll show you. I have a little chest here, um, where I keep decoration stuff, but it was this purple, and it
Oh, that would look good.
most per. I'm gonna ask her if she can make that for me. I will pay her extra because I did so. I even have Halloween stuff that isn't finished in that color, and I feel like I may have to change the purple in
Mm-hmm.
it. But wouldn't that be pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? She comes out with the best stuff, so maybe she'll already have a really good.
You could change that house, that first house that's purple, to like that Halloween kind of green, like not
Yeah,
I don't want to say
or
like
just
lime green, but then it would really pop on that purple.
the white I used for the witches in. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a grungy white. That could be.
Mm-hmm.
So the possibilities are endless. I She released one last time. Snow globe, snowman. It didn't. I think it only had one snowman. Anyways, I did it. I loved stitching it. So I saw this and I just had to get it
Yeah.
because why not? And then this Twilight Moon one. Apparently, there's a thread pack. I didn't know that. I'm gonna see
Yeah,
if I
isn't
can.
it the night garden is the thread
Yeah,
or the thread maker?
that's Threadworks Night Garden palette. I don't know, but I think I can find it. I don't. The variegation in the moon is going to be tricky, so I need to do some thinking about this. But I put this one in my room too with that purpley flower and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just some like I said, I just bought stuff because why not? Emily Claw stitching. What is this called? A House of Ginger. I love gingerbread houses, snowmen. You know, because you can put these up all winter. I feel like this is
Mm-hmm.
not Christmas. You put it out after Thanksgiving, and then you can put
Mm-hmm.
it away around. You know, when you swap out your Valentine's Day stuff.
Yep.
You know, and like same thing with these is you put them up. They're Christmassy, but they're wintry because my winter here is like 20 years long every year. So it's I got this one,
I can't wait to see you finish one of these.
and then I got this one, and I this is the one I think I want to because it's only 8 by 10, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's a lot, but it's not that big.
Mm-hmm.
I have never used perforated paper before, So I think I'm gonna order some and try it. Even
Mm-hmm.
if I hate it, I just won't put it on there because I feel like it'd be fine for all of summer too.
Mm-hmm.
Out the Happy Easter. But I mean, the patriotic one is just. I
Yeah.
almost don't like it in the patriotic one because I love the fireworks.
Yep.
And I feel like the banner kind of takes away. But the plaid trees, I showed my husband and he was like, cool.
You're like, but they're plaid trees.
This one's so cute. Who is this? A cherry blossoms.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
And
That's definitely on the
the
list.
eagle on the quilt. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you put a flag, an eagle, or a quilt on a pattern, I'm probably gonna buy it.
Mm-hmm.
There's fireworks in the wagon. I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah, with little uh
So these ones will definitely come around. Probably in May time-ish is when I'll
mm-hmm.
see patriotic stuff. I also think I might start this one soon. I kind of like it without the words.
Yeah.
I like this. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna do it.
The white one, um, instead of the blue, it looks like it's white instead of blue in the pillow. That looks so realistic.
So it says on the back, this one she did in DMC floss, and this one she did in Cosmo floss.
Huh.
Pillow uses white floss for puffs versus blue green. So yeah, she changed. But I think I would make whatever fabric I picked, make it so the white really, really popped on it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't use blue. But I just saw it and I thought this was really cute.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
pretty.
might be, it's only 7 by 8 on 14 count. So
Mm-hmm.
a little small. I won't, this would take me maybe a week to add to the drawer of done.
Does it take me like, 6 months
And
probably?
it's probably the most insane purchase out of all of them. And I don't know what I was thinking. I love barns. I don't love green, but this green is beautiful. I don't know. It says Romy's Creation Mistletoe. So she stitched it on Time Goes By from Seraphim Fabrics. 18 count, she used one strand and she needed 1.1 skein. So I'd probably need like three. Because if I'm going to do over two, I'd need at least double.
So
On
what's the finishing size?
So on a 16, it's 21 by 9. And here, I'm going to take it out of the plastic. It's not so shiny. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do the barn. And hang on, can I separate this? Yeah. Well, this is kind of cool. It has a story about like where her inspiration
Oh, yeah,
comes
that's
from.
cool.
And there's a little thing about it. And she's got one called Grandpa's Barn or something, but I didn't like that one as much as this one. But what I'm going to do is take this flag, put it in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
this one over here, because this one doesn't have anything. So it'll be like, what are these called? Weather vanes?
Yeah.
The weather vane, flag, weather vane, and I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
do words or
Nice.
or the cows as much as I love cows. I'm just going to do the barn.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I feel like you could balance, you'd have to put like fencing and an animal on the other side to
Yeah, so
balance it.
that's my brain is
Yeah.
I'm very symmetrical and that throws me and like to have two here and nothing it throws me off, but I really love the flag.
Yeah.
So how it mine won't be any more than what did I say? 21 by 9 because I will do it on 16 count. But I love the gray she used is a Cosmo floss for like the roof. I think it's L or whatever that is. There's a Romy's Creation London Mist and then a Cosmo floss that's used within there, and it really has a look of um, like a tin roof. So
Yeah.
I might take this one with me when I go to Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or what I should say, with this one in mind so I can actually look at the greens and look
Mm-hmm.
at the silvers because online, which is where I order most of my stuff, I can't really tell. I could
Mm-hmm.
also probably Color and Cotton does conversions and I might be able to email them and ask them if they have because the green really has to be super variegated.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, or you'd have to use like one strand of one strand of another, and blend them, how some
Mm-hmm.
people do. Because I feel like it wouldn't have that weathered barn. Anyways, I loved it. When I'm gonna start it, it's probably gonna be like I'm doing this today, and then I'll start. But I want to make sure. I want to use the oat milk from Millennial Fabric. That's my favorite neutral. I don't think I showed it, but it's really beautiful because it's like a tannish one, kind of
Mm-hmm.
a little bit darker than that. Um, and then I need to find the right green. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I'll hate it because I don't love green.
Right. Well, that's when you sent me a picture of that, I was like, oh, you better find a green you really like, because if you get to a point where you're like, I hate this green, you're gonna be like putting it away and be like, I'm done with this.
I have like kind of a conundrum in myself because I think this would be really beautiful as a blue, like a faded blue.
Mm-hmm.
But because it has a meaning to her and there's like an inspiration behind it, I love taking creative liberty because it's my stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think it should stay true to what it is. And that this is one where I'm like, I could change it and I would really like it. But I also think she did this color for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing it has an inspiration, I kind of want to stay to that. So
Mm-hmm.
it will get done. I just, I have some decisions to make, but that's probably all the patterns I'll buy for the
Fun.
next couple of months, unless one. I do want to get the Robin Pickens. I don't know what her new ones are called. So she had
The
the
horizontal ones.
yeah, she had the single birds, and now I think they're called like duo couriers or something.
Yeah.
Because I did all the singles, and I told you I think it would be cool to have on the finishing piece the singles next to the new ones,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like even like a bifold almost.
Mm-hmm.
That could be cool. So I do need to buy those. I just haven't yet because
Yeah.
I realized how much I spent for market. I was like, oh, you're in timeout.
Well, I didn't do any
A little
I
laugh.
didn't do like any market order, like specific market orders or pre-orders or anything like that. When I went to Colorado Cross Stitcher a couple weeks ago and I was looking for some fabric and floss for a different project. Um, I of course when I'm there they have this like when they bring the market stuff back, put it Sherry puts it out on this like center table. I sent you a picture and it's like this massive
Mhm.
long table of all the market stuff. So of course I couldn't leave without something from the market table. So I picked up the with thy needle and thread. What is this called? Liberty is what it's called. Um, I love Abraham Lincoln, and anything Benjamin Franklin, anything patriotic. I'm a big history nerd. But when I look at this, I actually do think I may change that blue color and maybe even the red color, and tweak it to just a little bit more of my favorite blue and red.
So for me, can you show that again?
Uh-huh.
The reason why I wouldn't buy that pattern, can you guess?
That you wouldn't buy it?
Yeah.
I don't
Why is
know.
why is there a thing coming out of the roof?
Oh, right, like yeah,
My
or
brain is like,
like the baskets where it's
no,
like, yeah,
no.
it wouldn't make sense.
Right, but that
Or
eagle
like,
is spectacular.
yeah, yep,
And really, the house is like all that for my brain. I'd probably just either not stitch that or move it to the ground so it looked like
yep,
tree.
yeah,
See that? So it's like some of that older sampler stuff and stuff.
yep.
I just
You're
don't
like, that doesn't make any sense.
or like the really baskety stuff. I just,
Hmm.
but the people that I love to watch the floss tubes of people that do those things because for me, it's not anything I would ever do. And so I really like appreciate their work that they do because
Hmm.
they do take a really long time. And
Really
I
long.
like to see that. For me, I just
Yeah.
wouldn't. So,
I have a couple of the with a needle and thread. I've never actually stitched one. But I don't have too many that are like that, that are
yeah.
kind of with the traditional sampler kind of things.
Someday I should probably Google what the history is, like
Hmm.
why those are in the patterns, like the traditional ones, and like
Yeah,
what
why they're stuck on houses in
specific,
weird
yeah,
places.
because there has to be some sort of like historical significance to why
Yeah.
they're like that.
And then I picked up two um little, so this is the what series? Hometown Holiday series
Okay.
from Little House Needleworks. Um Sherry got in these weren't there previously. So she has like a new stand that has like a whole bunch of these little House Needleworks ones, like all of them to choose from. And at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna make a big long one that has like 5 or 6 of these. And, I was making it way bigger in my head and I'm thinking, you're never gonna finish that thing. So I picked,
Well, they're
um,
pretty small though,
they are, like this one's 81 by 50. Um,
because I think
I'd have to
that
take out, but it's probably the same size. So I picked, this one is the Main Street Station with the little train.
oh, cute.
We used to take my kiddo up to Georgetown. They have a Santa train up there where you get on the train and go look at Christmas lights and you meet Santa while you're on the train. So I thought that would be cute to
That's
make in kind of a block finish, kind of stand up kind of thing. And then this one is Pop's filling station.
oh, the dog.
Yeah, and the little gas pump, like
Oh,
my
is that a
grandpa,
chicken? Is
what's that?
that a chicken under that
It
tree?
is little
Oh
tiny
my
chicken.
gosh, how cute.
So my
I love
grandpa
those
used
stuff.
to work at a filling station way back. He lived in Ohio for a long time, and every time I think of like an old school filling station, I think of my grandpa. So figured I'd
Cool.
make that one too. So
Because I
he-
think she's the one who makes like the farmhouse Christmas, right?
yeah, farmhouse
'Cause
Christmas, the log cabin Christmas, like all those
I
little
have
ones.
the log cabin one kitted up, but I started I think it's called Jack Frost Tree
Mm-hmm.
Farm or
Tree
something,
farm or something.
and the stitches go pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing mine. I have it all written down, but the long one, instead of at the top, I'm putting it in the middle. And then I'm doing 3 and 3 because it has
Mm-hmm.
7 total. And it's put away now because it's not time to be working on tree farm stuff. But I was stitched it up pretty quick. I was impressed. I've never done her stuff. I have
Mm-hmm.
a log cabin Christmas one too. I think it might be waiting for something. I just don't remember what.
Yeah. When I've been working on the farmhouse
I
Christmas.
love the farm
And
one.
because I was like, well, I'll send you mine when I'm done, right? So I think I've sent you two out of the 9 blocks, I think.
Maybe.
Um,
I have to look
and
in
I'm
my
only midway through their third block. Like,
yeah.
it'll be forever before you get all 9 of them. But
I got all their stuff.
right? Yeah,
I
we'll
got a
we'll
big
all
green
manage.
barn. I got a big green
Yeah.
barn I gotta figure out. I think that's all. Is that all your
That's
kind of
all. Yeah, I'm like yeah, my stuff is like all over, but I think that's everything.
managed to keep it kind of tidy.
Right? It's not terrible.
Well, not as bad as my sewing table, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's all I have for today.
Yeah. We covered a lot, so hopefully
Yeah.
everybody has a good idea of like the
So are you
variety of
keeping
things we like
time?
to stitch.
I don't know
Hmm?
how long this. I said it. Are you keeping time?
I have no idea.
So my favorite floss tubes that I watch are at least an hour and a half long
Hmm.
at the time. And
Yeah.
for me, it takes me like 5 days to watch it because I can't watch it when I'm being interrupted. So I watch it in chunks. So
Hmm.
sometimes it takes me like 3 or 4 days to get through a floss tube. That's probably why I don't watch a lot anymore because
Because
they
you
stack
get
up.
interrupted too much. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I think the last thing we have is just kind of talking about the vision that we have. I don't know if you want to go into that.
Yeah, I think when we were chatting about like launching something like this, and like how that would work for both of us, because we're both moms, we both work full time, and like how that would factor in so that it's always fun for us, and that maybe we could make it work every 3 to 4 weeks, in that way it allows for some stitching to be done, maybe a chance to be finishing something, but not have it be um, too often that it's then like creating pressure for us. So that's what we're hoping is like every 3 to 4 weeks, um, and that
Because I think kind of the same where if it becomes too much of a chore, neither one of us are gonna be
Yeah.
interested in
Like, I don't have
past
time,
week.
didn't do anything. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that,
I stitch pretty much every night, so I'm
mhm,
always stitching, but your job is much busier and more stressful than mine. And I
yeah.
work from home, so I have a little bit more flexibility to stitch.
Yeah, and I have days and weeks that can be pretty unpredictable where it's like, oh, my 10-hour day turned into an 18-hour day. Um, so having that flexibility and just that we're really here just to have fun and to share with each other what we're working on, and if other people find that entertaining, then that's awesome. And that it's more of just kind of conversation, and it might not always follow the traditional, you know, FFO, finish, whip, all that kind of stuff.
I think we're gonna try to have like a little bit of an outline, but just
Yeah.
I don't. Again, I don't love rules, so if it's
Yeah.
like it won't be fun for me if I have to like.
Hmm.
We try to stay on track.
Yeah.
I'd
If
say.
we squirrel, right?
Yeah.
Just,
All right.
that's right.
Because
So,
when we were talking about this, one of my goals was I want it to be more like a conversation, like whoever is watching, if anyone watches, that they're talking with us too.
hmm.
Because I don't know about you, but when I watch Flosstube, be like, oh my gosh, yes, like I talk out loud or in my head, depending. So I feel like I like the ones where I feel like they're talking with me and not
Hmm.
to me,
Yep.
I guess. So, and like I said, I never
Absolutely.
in my of ever going on the internet ever. I feel like when my husband and I met, one of our goals was you to never get yourself on YouTube. So, oops, sorry.
Never get yourself unintentionally on YouTube,
Yeah,
right?
okay. I'll add that. I'll tell him that. I mean, he's all supportive of it, but that was like he's like my goal was to never get myself on YouTube. Because we're from the generation where like, could you imagine if they taped everything we did? Oh
Right?
my poor kids would be like, Mom, who are you? It's weird to have adult kids because you can kind of let yourself be adult with them.
Hmm.
When you have a little kid, you kind of have to censor maybe
Yeah.
yourself, or like you don't want them to know maybe everything about you. But then as they get older and they start getting their experiences, and then you tell them things like, "Oh, well, this happened to me," and they're like, "What?" Or my daughter, she's in that phase where like life isn't going exactly as planned, and so she's learning that yeah, that's how this works. Like you have to adapt. And I was telling her a story, and she's like, "Dang, Mom, you really lived a life." And I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah,
You
I
know,
haven't always just been boring mom.
right? I used to be fun, and I still am fun, like but there's mom life, and you have to be a mom.
Hmm.
So it's kind of interesting having adult kids because sometimes I'll say things and they're like, "Mom," and I'm like, "Oh, well, you're an adult now. It's fine. Like you're a grown up." My daughter is much more reserved, I guess would be the term, than my son is. Like he's always in for like a bad joke or whatever, and he'll be like, "Ew, gross." Whatever. So, anyways, that's kind of my ideas. I just want it to be a conversation and not, you know, it's not a job. This isn't my job.
Right. Yep, it's a hobby and we should be enjoying it in all the variations that it takes. Because
Right.
as we've learned, even in 3 years of stitching, 3 or 4 years of stitching, um,
Hmm.
things change by the seasons of what we fabrics, flosses, designers, the way we finish something, it all changes. So it's that like flexibility, and we're all human. So you just shouldn't be
And like
so
I said,
take it
just
so seriously.
how much you learn about yourself just
Hmm.
going through the process of all of it. Like I can be creative. I can do whatever. It sounds weird, but it's almost like a powerful thing. Like I can do whatever I want.
Hmm.
Like when I look at a pattern, it's a suggestion for me.
Hmm.
I mean, if I was going to enter it into a fair or do something like that, I guess I'd have to follow the rules of that. But it's going in your house. You need to do
Hmm.
what you want.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I also like the rules people too, because you're a rules people and stuff looks really good. So
Okay, occasionally, yeah.
my
So,
husband, he's a rules person. He's speed limit rules person. He was driving the other day and I said, "Do you ever want to get home?" Or I,
Like,
he's like, what? I'm saving our gas mileage. We finally got my car back, which
oh, good,
and
good.
he's like, I'm trying to keep our gas mileage down, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's good. Our
Like,
still is probably 3 weeks out and getting fixed this, so
well, knock on wood. Mine, they
right?
fixed it, so
Yeah.
that,
So, hopefully in however long this is, I'm guessing 90 minutes maybe. I don't know. We could be wrong. We could be surprised when we're done here. Um, you've found something that you like or that you'd like to see us finish and that you're interested in hanging around and subscribing and liking us and seeing where our adventures in thread takes us. Um, we'll hopefully be back in 3 to 4 weeks.
so maybe
Yeah,
end.
we'll have to figure that out and hopefully we'll have some more progress, some more fun to share.
We will.
So,
It's always fun to share.
yeah. But it was awesome hanging out with you this morning.
Yeah.
If anything, we accomplished that. So there you go.
And neither one of our kids interrupted us.
I know. I heard a little stirring outside, but nobody knocked.
Our peep, so she
Right?
must have taken my threat of leave me alone or you're grounded seriously.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually ground her, but
Yeah.
So
Cool.
awesome.
All right. Well,
Bye.
we will
Next time.
see you next time then.
Bye.
See ya.